Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm going to be taking you through yet more of my favourite compilations. Compilations, that's a word that has a bit of a negative connotation for me. I am not a fan of the traditional greatest hits or best ofs or the singles of blah blah blah. Not a fan of that. But compilations could also include those great tying up loose ends releases, amalgamating all of the B-sides and EPs, extra live tracks, tracks that just didn't make it onto the albums, the full-length releases. It could be a greatest hits, it could be a re-recordings. You know, there are actually some good compilations out there that contain some very good material that isn't a best of or greatest hits, and actually it's a solid compilation. So if you've seen the first two parts of this little mini series, then I suppose you'll be familiar with the concept. But I've actually got 4 compilations here. This first article is from a Finnish old-school death metal band, a band that had been around for a number of years, disappeared for a long time, came back, and I believe they're still relevant and still around. I certainly know that they've had a few EPs and albums out over the last few years, last decade or so. But this particular band, Necropsy, excellent artwork there, very grisly, very old school death. I love that kind of, it's almost like fine line, sort of gruesome artwork, just black, white, just lots of little lines, very gruesome and grisly. But this is a 3-disc box set of the complete demo recordings. This compiles all of their demo recordings and releases between 1989 and 1993. The prime years for the old school death metal scene. And I have to say, this is a really nice, very humbling, very organic and honest release, because you get those early demos such as tracks 1 to 3 from disc 1, the Mental Disturbance demo from 1989, the Curse demo 3 to 9, 1990, Indignation demo 1990, and they sound so raw and old school, so primitive in the old school death metal style and scene. But it's great. There's actually some very good tracks there. A lot of it does tend to blur in. Of course, the quality is not amazing because it's a demo recording. It's a demo recording of just quite enjoyable old school, early primitive death metal. But you get that very honest, very, organic and original early material. And these guys were so young. The really nice thing about this particular box set is that it has a great booklet in there that shows you some great photographs, very original stuff. I mean, you look at these guys, they were just kids. They were just young kids doing their thing, playing the music that they were writing, wanting to play, in that just building, very young, old school death metal scene. But it's great. It's a nice little accompaniment. And then we get the second disc there, where you've got more promos, more demos, and it's notably different. It's notably improved. It's starting to get a little bit more serious. The songwriting, the structuring, the musicianship is getting better. It's building. We've got Another World demo, 1991. We've got Go All the Way of Flesh demo, 1992. We have another demo that was later released on a 7-inch single. So we've got more rarities, more old school death, more primitive material. By the time we get to the third disc, things have really come along and it's really noticeably improved. Certainly when you consider that we've got tracks 1 to 6 on the third disc are from a split EP alongside another notorious old school death metal band, Demigod. A very good band in fact, and these are really good tracks. These are very heavy, very gritty old school death. It's got that raw Scandinavian sound to it. We've got another promo from 1993, and then we have a track from a compilation, the Monoheads compilation. So we've got all these different bits and pieces, a little bit, 40 tracks it says on the front here, with a total playing time of 167 minutes. And I am a bit of a saddo. I like to listen to whole albums, and I also quite like to listen to whole box sets. So from time to time, I have actually sat there and through my headphones listened to all 3 discs in succession. And back to back, you kind of really get the best picture and the full view of their progression, their stylistic growth and change over time. And it's a humbling thing. And I must say, the stuff that you get on disc 3 there, those promos and that split material, it's great. It's gritty, raw, old school death. Got a great sound, great style. Does say here that these tracks have been completely remastered from the original tapes. So of course it does sound a little bit better constructed. But you know what? This is great old school death metal. This is a good compilation of the gritty old stuff. Very enjoyable. Necropsy from Finland. So, completely different subgenre here, completely different time, completely different place of origin. I'm going with quite a controversial one. Now, I will go on record here as to say that I am not a nu metal fan. Nu metal is just not my thing. You can keep your Limp Bizkit, you can take Korn, you can discard Cold Chamber, all of that I'm just not interested in. But I will say that I love Disturbed. I think Disturbed are a great band. I think that Disturbed, alongside Slipknot, were nu metal bands that broke away from the traditional kind of core elements of nu metal. Obviously, David Draiman, frontman of Disturbed, is a great vocalist, a great frontman, has a fantastic clean singing voice, but he does have his own unique sort of rapping style. I suppose you'd call it rap. I don't know. Would you call it rap? You tell me. I don't know anything about rap. Not a fan. Not my cup of tea. But I do like David Draiman's vocals. I do like his voice. And you know what? This compilation, The Lost Children, compiles B-sides and singles, rarities, different bits and pieces from across their career up to the point of Asylum. I believe this particular album was released in 2011, so that would be about right, time-wise. But some of these tracks, Hell, for example, the opening track, is so good. It's heavy as hell. It's got some killer groove metal riffs there. It's got this dark, menacing, kind of atmospheric about it. It's heavy as hell. Vocal delivery is amazing. It's fantastic. Other particularly notable tracks, we get some old school tracks here from the Sickness era with A Welcome Burden, and then we've also got God of Mind. Very good, very old school tracks. We've got a very good old school track from around the Believe era in Dehumanized, which is freaking great. Crunchy riffs, David Draiman's vocals, they're amazing. His cleans are just top notch, first class, heavy as hell. Right the way through the album, to be honest. This Moment, Old Friend, Monster, Run, amazing tracks. All amazing tracks, but my favourites, certainly that opening track, Hell. Really do like Two Worlds. That has a great riff, great chorus, very memorable, heavy and hard hitting, brilliant stuff. Mine was an original track that was written for this release, and it is a very good song. Very powerful, very much a sort of, shall we say, socially, politically aware track, an attack on the establishments and government policies, blah, 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 all of that. The last 2 tracks are covers. We've got Midlife Crisis and Living After Midnight. Number 3, which is actually track 14, that is a track that was written for the benefit of the 3 men convicted, boys as they were, of the Memphis killings, Memphis 3, I believe they were called. I don't know too much about that, but just reading a little bit of the background stuff, there's a whole nother story there, a very dark thing. But you know what? This is a great album. If this was a standalone album and it wasn't just compilations, then this could easily be one of their best. But as a compilation, The Lost Children is a freaking great album. Highly enjoyable. It's one of those ones you can just put on, just listen right the way through. Not a track on there that I would skip. Although I do tend to miss out the bonus covers at the end there. I'm not too fussed about covers, but the rest, certainly that opening track, Hell, and Two Worlds, Dehumanized, heavy as hell. Say what you like about Disturbed, they're a freaking great band in my opinion. So, moving on from Disturbed, we're going to another one of my favourite bands, my all-time favourite bands, but circa the era of my least favourite album of theirs. And I've actually got two compilations in one here. I'll explain a little bit. I'm talking Sepultura with this particular item, The Roots of Sepultura, and also another compilation from around the same era. This is Bloody Rooted. So you may think, well, what's the difference? Well, I shall explain. The Roots of Sepultura is a 2-disc. The first disc is the full album. This is just Roots, Bloody Roots. My least favourite Sepultura album. I do not particularly like it. I will say there are some good tracks on that album. Roots, Bloody Roots is a classic, and that's a fantastic track, along with Cutthroat. Another great track, but there's a lot of that album which is just not quite for me. However, I love Sepultura. I love all their other albums, but this, alongside elements of Against, are just a little bit lost on me. I won't say I hate the album, because I don't, but I prefer everything else a little bit more, you know? So, the difference between these two particular releases, so disc 2 is made up of lots of different bits and pieces here. We've got covers, we've got original mixes, different mixes, demos, we've got live tracks, and certainly you get some really raw and rough material. The same with this Bloody Rooted compilation. I just think they kind of go hand in hand quite well. This one in particular, we'll start with Bloody Rooted. We've got a great cover of Celtic Frost's classic Procreation of the Wicked. We have some extra material from around the era of Roots, Bloody Roots in Policia and War. We've got a great cover of Black Sabbath's Symptom of the Universe there. We've got lots of demos and different versions, different mixes there. But we've got some great live material, great live versions of Refuse, Resist, Slave New World, one of my favourite Sepultura songs for sure. We've got Beneath the Remains and Escape to the Void. We've got Chaos. We've got Clenched Fist. Biotech is Godzilla. So we've got a good mix of live material there. Some really good, well-performed stuff. Certainly as there is a notable absence of an easily accessible live album from that classic Max Cavalera era. This compilation, Roots of Sepultura, is a little bit deeper because we've got some really interesting different mixes, as I've mentioned, but we've got great live versions, things like Anti-Cop, that classic Antichrist mix up there, Arise, Mass Hypnosis, Troops of Doom, Altered State. We've also got different mixes of tracks from the Arise era with Dead Embryonic Cells, Desperate Cry, Murder. Really good stuff, really great material, and we've got Criminals in Uniform as well there. And you know, these are just really enjoyable little extra gems that you don't get on the studio albums, of course. So it's a really nice compilation, a rounding off of tying up those loose ends around the era of Roots, Bloody Roots, and of course before the subsequent departure of Max Cavalera from Sepultura. So, Bloody Rooted, Roots of Sepultura. Great compilations, great little gems, little bonus bits and pieces here. Some real gold material. So there you have it for part 3 of my favourite compilations. Just run you through those again. The Necropsy complete demo recordings box set. This is Tombs of the Forgotten. Nu Metal Gods that broke away from that whole nu metal thing, became a whole different beast altogether. Disturbed with the Lost Children. And groove metal, thrash metal gods, just metal gods that they are, Sepultura with Bloody Rooted and of course Roots of Sepultura. What do you think of these compilations? Are you familiar with these ones? If you're not, do check them out. You'll find some gems on there, no doubt, and then let me know what you think. I'm very interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Feel free to like and subscribe as always. It's very much appreciated. Check back soon for more reviews and more words of all things good and heavy. And you take care, my friends. Stay heavy.